Hey, what's up guys? So it's been quite a long time since my last video. I did put one up the other day, but this is to do with my car. And what I really want to do with my car is convert the clutch fan to an electric fan. And the reason being is sometimes the clutches can seize up, or the plastic fans can just break. And when they explode, they can destroy a whole lot of stuff in the engine bay, like your hoses, wiring. I've seen bonnets or hoods dented, the grills, everything. So it's just something you need to change quite often, but the clutch can be pretty expensive to replace, and you have to do it every certain amount of kilometers or something, or miles. So I'd rather just replace with an electric fan. That way it gets rid of the parasitic drag on the motor. It's way quieter because that fan sounds disgusting in the hot weather. And yeah, it's going to be a bit safer because we're not going to have fan blades flying everywhere. So I'm going to show you what I'm going to do. I don't know how much I'm going to be able to show you because my car actually needs to go in to get the timing chain guides replaced. It is a job that I just don't have the time, space or tools to do, so it is going to a mechanic to do that. And while it's there, I'm just going to give him the parts to fit my electric fan and stuff. But the hardest part about this whole thing is trying to find a way to mount the fan to your existing shroud. There's companies that sell aluminium shrouds an electric fan can bolt to, but they're not cheap. And for me, they're in the US, so shipping, time, all that stuff is just going to take too long and be too expensive. So I'm going to show you what I've done here and how I'm actually going to mount the fan. And when it comes to the wiring, I'll show you what I can, because the guy at the shop's probably going to do that. I might not be able to show you how to wire it, but I don't think it's too hard. But then what I'll do is show you the job when the car's finished and it's all back. I can show you exactly what it looks like when it's finished. So let me just show you now exactly what I've done and we'll go from there. Alright, so what I've done, the existing plastic shroud, so this part, you guys probably already know what this is the shroud that goes over the fan, just under your bonnet or hood. Mine was broken, so I've bought a new one to do this on, so I didn't have to take the original one off the car. But if you guys want to do this and your fan shroud is okay, then you can probably use the ones in your car. You'll just have to take it out. But it's probably easier to just buy a new one, get it all set up, and then just swap them, to be honest. So what I've done here, let me just take this cardboard out. This is what the shroud looks like. And now the problem with mounting an electric fan, let me just grab the fan. Got the fan just in here somewhere. These fans are actually pretty heavy. That's the electric fan. I think this is a 16-inch electric fan. They're pretty heavy, so you need something, when you mount it, it needs to be pretty strong. Now, as you can see, the fan's got nowhere to mount because it's smaller than the hole, so you can't really mount it. I've seen people use like brackets going across here and things like that. The problem is if you have a huge gap around the fan, it's not going to create the suction to pull the air out of the radiator, and you're just going to have air just flowing everywhere. The fan's not really going to be doing anything. The fan works best when there's some kind of vacuum, so you really want to seal all this up. And what I've seen people do is just, yeah, like bracket it from here and then just fill the holes, but it just looks really messy. So I'll show you exactly what I'm going to do. Alright, so what I went ahead and did is cut this cardboard template out right here, and it's pretty easy. I just took some measurements and you'll see it fits in really nicely. Like that. And then, so I'll just grab the fan again. Now what will happen is this fan will be able to mount into the front like that, and it's completely sealed, and you've got somewhere to bolt the fan to. It's beautiful. So I'm obviously not mounting the fan to this cardboard, but this cardboard is going to be a template, so I can make one out of some aluminium or some metal, but I'm thinking I'll make it out of polycarbonate, which is like it's kind of like a plastic or a perspex, but it's very good in high heat environments. And just quickly, this is what it looks like from the front. So let me just pull this up. So when this is in your car, that's how it usually is. You've got it, this will be the front right there, and then the fan's behind it. But looking from the back of it, where the fan will mount, this is what it's going to look like. So I've got my cardboard there. You can see here I've traced exactly where the fan will mount, so I can drill some holes in my perspex whenever that's all ready, and then I can mount the fan shroud on top. So that's what it'll look like, a nice small hole, well not small hole, but the size of the fan, just so the air that it's sucking is just like a complete vacuum, so there's nowhere for the air to go apart from straight from the radiator straight through into the fan, which is what you want. I mean, there's some small gaps down the side here and things like that, but that's not going to matter because the way the fan is now anyway, there's gaps everywhere. So hopefully this works, and hopefully it cools the car effectively, but I'm pretty sure that little fan I've got will pull more air than the one that's in the car, so pretty happy about that. But yeah, that's what it looks like from the back, and the fan will just sit there. So I think it's going to work. And with my template, I'll just pretty much show you that quickly. It wasn't that hard at all. With the template, I just kind of measured up the width and the height, and then I cut a big rectangle, and then I just pieced in pieces like I cut this square out and then I just pieced it in here where I might have cut too much. And up here, up there, I just, you know, traced that out and stuff. So it wasn't too hard at all, but now I can just cut that out of Perspex or aluminium and off we go. Alright guys, so it is another day. Sorry for crapping on, this video is probably going to go for ages, but I've decided to do the shroud, the part where I mount the fan out of aluminium. Even though the polycarbonate has decent heat factors, I just don't think it's going to, I don't know, it's not worth the risk in case it melts or something like that. So aluminium, it's going to be a bit harder to work with, but I think it's going to be a better result and it's definitely going to handle the heat. So I am going with aluminium. Now, for those of you in the US where buying things is pretty cheap, there is a company called Zionsville Autosport, I think it's called, and you can buy the aluminium shrouds ready to mount a fan. You can buy them with aluminium expansion tanks. They do full overhaul packages for BMW's cooling systems, which is really awesome. But for me, by the time I order it, the US dollar goes to the Australian dollar and I pay for shipping. It ends up being well over $300 just for an aluminium shroud. And I've already bought the fan and I bought a new shroud, like plastic shroud and things like that, whereas this company, their shroud, you just get rid of your factory shroud and use theirs. So yeah, for those of you in the US or where you can get them cheap, probably go for it. But for those elsewhere, or if you can't find them cheap, make your own. Anyway, the next part of this video will be me actually cutting the aluminium up. I'm just waiting for a couple of days. They're cutting a sheet for me. I'm doing it, I think we agreed on 4mm thick, so it should be more than thick enough. So it's not too flexible, and by the time the fan's mounted and it's mounted to the shroud, it's going to be pretty solid. So I'll see you guys once I got the aluminium. Alright, so I've got my aluminium sheet right here. It's 4mm thick, and the problem is I should have gone for sheet, but I've got plate, which looks like it's going to be really hard to cut. So I'm not sure if I'm going to use a jigsaw, angle grinder, or what yet, not too sure. But what I've done is just stuck some masking tape all over the front of it and then put my template on top so I can trace that out, because trying to draw on the aluminium with the texture, it just kind of turns into water and runs off. So yeah, lay some masking tape down, put your template on top, then we're going to trace this and then we're going to find out how we're going to cut it. Alright, so here we go. All traced out. A little bit there I missed, but I'll fill that in. And then I can work out what we're going to use to cut this. At this stage you could probably take it to, you know, someone who's got a proper saw and machinery to cut this stuff. If it was an aluminium sheet I'd be fine, but this is aluminium plate, which from what I know is really tough. So yeah, we're going to see if this works. So these are the discs I bought to try. Steel and stainless, 115mm cut-off wheel. So hopefully it gets through this. I'm just going to show you the side of this plate if you can see it. I mean, it's hard to tell, it's not in focus. So, yeah, not really in focus, but there we go. It's not really the thickest stuff, but when you feel it, you can tell it's just like really compressed, like it's really hard. So it is going to be hard to cut, but like I said, we'll see how we go. And I wasn't just then, but make sure you're wearing gloves, glasses, things like that. I'm just looking for some glasses now because I've seen these discs just explode before and cut people's hands, arms, faces and whatnot. So wear some gloves, wear some protective eyewear and whatever else you can. It seems to be getting through the angle grinder. It is a little bit slow, but I think we'll get there. And I'll check in a minute and show you whether it's cut or not. Alright, sorry guys, haven't really been able to film me grinding because it's just me here, so no one can hold the camera while I'm grinding. But it's cutting not too bad. It's taking a while, but I'm getting there. Got my last cut now. Well, second last cut of the outside. And then I'm going to cut the ring out, which is probably going to be a bit difficult with the angle grinder, but I'll get there. Yeah, like I said, it's taken a while, and I'll still say if you can get aluminium sheet rather than plate, or even the Perspex, like if you can find something that can handle the heat in the engine bay, then use Perspex or something softer, because it has been a bit of a challenge to cut. Or like I said, if you know someone that can cut it for you, like laser cut, CNC, someone with the proper tools, machinery, whatever, then definitely get that done. But yeah, it's going well. So I'll do this last outside cut and then I'll tackle the ring inside, or the circle. And there it is. Not the prettiest piece of work I've ever done, but it works. It fits the shroud, which I'll show you in a second. What I have to do is make sure you cut out a little bit there, and a little bit here, because there is that little hose that runs over the top of your radiator, just under the shroud. So I'll put this in the shroud now and I'll show you what it looks like. There we go, that's it inside the shroud. Fits pretty nice. Now what I'm going to do is find out where I'm going to drill some holes so I can bolt the aluminium to the shroud, and then we're going to put the fan on, get it lined up, and drill holes for the fan, for the bolts for that as well. That's the bit where the hose is coming in I was talking about. Make sure you have a clearance for that, and that runs all the way along, and you want a hole there as well. So yeah, alright, so this is pretty much the finished product. We've got the bolts through here, so what we did was drill holes in our metal, drill holes in our shroud. If this actually focuses, come on. So we've got our bolt, or yeah, nut and bolt going through the plastic to the shroud. Just got 4 of those. And then our fan. So I'll show you the other side of this real quick, but let me just move back. That's how it looks. This is actually the front, so your radiator will sit in here. That's how it looks. So I'm picking this video up almost 2 years after all the last kind of clips that you saw. So the electric fan's been installed in the car for almost 2 years. I want to give you a close-up look of how it was installed, a little bit of the wiring. Now I didn't do the wiring because my car went in to get the chain guides done, and because everything had to come out, the mechanic just did the wiring when he put everything back together type thing. So I'm just going to show you what it actually looks like in the car. Let's go have a look at it. I'll show you exactly what it looks like installed in the car. Alright, so please excuse the state of my engine bay, it's absolutely filthy. We've moved house in the last couple of years, so that's why I didn't get to finish this video. But I'm just going to show you from the back of it, that's what it looks like. All installed. You can see it is quite close to the water pump pulley, but it doesn't touch it. It's actually, yeah, there's a bit of distance between it. The mechanic actually screwed the temperature sensor into the water pump housing here, which I wished he kind of didn't, because now when I change my water pump, I'll have to actually drill another hole in the new one. But I'm thinking I'll just get one of those things that join the pipes where you can kind of screw the thermostat, this temperature sensor, sorry, into the hose, which is going to work better, because if I have to change the pump, it's not going to be a problem. But as you can see, the wiring comes up the fan here, runs into some plugs there. It's not the cleanest job, to be honest, so yeah, wished he did a cleaner job, but it's not too bad. Then it runs into this, which is the relay and the fuse, and then it runs up here down into the fuse box where it gets the power. So it does come with a wiring instruction manual, and it's pretty simple. And like I said, I would have done it myself if I wasn't getting the chain guides and stuff done, but yeah, that's what it looks like in the car. There you can see my aluminium sheeting that I used. Yeah, it's worked out really, really well. So yeah, that's it. I'm really happy with the way it came out. It's nice and neat, it's clean, it's way quieter. The car stays a good temperature all the time. I don't have to worry about replacing the fan clutch, or it exploding and damaging things. So yeah, I guess it's worked out good, because now it's become like a long-term thing where I've had it for nearly 2 years and it hasn't caused me any problems. Actually, I did have one problem, and one of the problems was that the relay burnt out once, and I just had to swap the relay and it was fine. I don't know why that happened, but it never happened again. So it might have just been some weird electronic issue where it just got too hot and burnt out the relay. But yeah, since then it's been perfectly fine. Like I said, it keeps the car constant temperature. This one flicks on at about, I think it's 90 or 95 degrees Celsius, and then it keeps it around, the temperature of the car stays between 105, somewhere around there. But I wouldn't mind actually getting one of the cooler thermostats for this car, so it runs at like 90, 95, because I think the heat is what damages all the plastic components and things like that in this car, where it makes the cooling system unreliable. But since I've done the that fan upgrade, the car's stayed so cool. I haven't had to replace any of the cooling system parts in the last 2 years, which has been good. So yeah, highly recommend you do this. It's just, yeah, like I said, it's quieter, there's less parasitic drag on the engine. Yeah, and it just keeps the car cool generally. So yeah, hope you enjoyed this video. If it helped you, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you in my next video. Thanks very much for watching.